Hello, welcome to KXAN Plus. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm your host, Esmeralda Zamora. Today, we're going to hear from the Austin Police Department, who is investigating the death of a 19-year-old Texas A&M student named Brianna Aguilera, found outside of West Campus apartment early on Saturday. Detectives say it's not being treated as a homicide right now, and the cause of death is still under review. APD is about to give an update on this investigation, and we are going to listen into that pretty soon. It looks like they're preparing, getting their camera set up. I'm going to repeat this information that I just shared in Spanish for our Spanish speakers. La policía de Austin está investigando la muerte de Brianna Aguilera, una estudiante de 19 años de la Universidad Texas A&M, cuyo cadáver fue hallado el sábado por la mañana a las puertas de un apartamento del campus oeste. Están empezando. They're going to start, so let's listen into this press conference.
I stand before you as the chief of police, but first and foremost as a mother. I have 3 daughters and a son, and I cannot begin to imagine the pain that Brianna's family is feeling. As a parent, none of us want to contemplate the loss of a child, and again, my heart aches for them. Before I turn this over to our lead detective, I want to be clear about a few things. It is not common for a police department to speak publicly about a death by suicide, but inaccurate information has circulated and been reported, and that has led to additional harm of innocent people, bullying included, and their families. There have also been statements suggesting the police have failed to do our jobs. Those statements are not accurate. I understand how grief and the need for answers can raise intense emotions and many questions. But sometimes the truth doesn't provide the answers we are hoping for, and that is this case. Please know that careful investigations take time. We must interview witnesses, collect evidence, and piece together facts. Releasing partial information too early can jeopardize the integrity of that case. I want to assure everyone that our team worked around the clock. These guys do not sleep. They worked around the clock on this case. And many of them are parents themselves. We used every available resource, interviewed numerous people, gathered evidence because we too want to understand what happened to Brianna, who was clearly loved by so many. I want to thank our homicide unit and victim services for their thorough work on this investigation and providing support for everyone that has been involved. I'm now going to turn it over to Detective Marshall, who will walk us through the timeline.
Morning. First, I'd like to start off by saying that our deepest sympathies and condolences go out to Brianna and her family. During this investigation, I've had a chance to speak with numerous members of her family and friend group, both here in Austin and College Station and in Laredo. All of them, it's completely apparent that she was very much loved. Every friend and witness during this investigation has been nothing but forthcoming and open during the entire time I've spoken with them. I've been in contact with dozens of people over the past week, and every single one of them has answered my calls, my text, submitted to interviews, and helped give answers from the moment that I've asked for that help. This also includes several people submitting to second interviews freely and without hesitation. The location this happened at, the 21 Rio Apartments, have also been helpful since the very beginning of this investigation. They've allowed us around-the-clock access to the apartment which Brianna was last seen at, as well as access to their internal camera system, which has been very beneficial in establishing a timeline of that evening's events. On Saturday, November 29th, at approximately 12:46 a.m., the Austin police officers responded to a call of a deceased person located at 2101 Rio Grande Street. The decedent, later identified as Brianna Aguilera, was located on the ground with trauma consistent to having fallen from a higher floor. Brianna was pronounced deceased at 12:56 a.m. I, along with crime scene specialists, responded to process the scene and interview witnesses. A witness informed officers that they had heard a sound of a thud and then observed a female on the ground. Initially, it was unknown who the decedent was and on what floor she had fallen. The medical examiner arrived on scene, and the body was taken to the medical examiner's office, where she was later positively identified. In the meantime, I was able to contact one of the employees at the 21 Rio Apartments at approximately 6 a.m. that same morning. The staff at 21 Rio were cooperative throughout this entire investigation. At 10 a.m., we were able to access the cameras inside the apartment complex, which shows us the hallway areas. It was found that Brianna had arrived at the apartment complex just after 10 a.m. on Friday, November 28th, and that she went into a specific apartment on the 17th floor. Video surveillance has confirmed that a large group of friends left that same apartment at 12:30 a.m. on November 29th, leaving just Brianna and 3 other girls in the apartment. Now on Saturday, November 29th, at approximately 12:54 p.m., I, along with patrol officers, made contact with the residents of that specific apartment that Brianna had been observed going into. The residents informed me that they were trying to report that their friend Brianna was missing. I was able later to confirm they had in fact placed a 911 call at 12:14 p.m. earlier that afternoon to report their friend Brianna was missing. They informed me that they were hosting friends for the Texas A&M football game and that Brianna was supposed to be staying there that preceding evening. I spoke with 3 different female witnesses on scene, as well as later a 4th witness who had left earlier that morning. The investigation showed that Brianna had been at a tailgate party earlier in the day and became intoxicated to a point that she was asked to leave the same tailgate. She had told her friends that she had lost her phone at some point near that tailgate. They had all returned to the apartment where Brianna borrowed a phone of a friend to call an out-of-town boyfriend. Witnesses heard Brianna arguing on the phone with her boyfriend, which was also confirmed later by the boyfriend. Phones from both the phone Brianna used and the boyfriend's phone have confirmed through call logs that call did occur. Now this call occurred at approximately 12:43 to 12:44 a.m., approximately 1 minute. This is 2 minutes before the 911 call of the body found down below on the pavement. On Saturday, November 29th, it was found that Brianna's mother, Stephanie Rodriguez, had called the Austin Police Department at 12:50 p.m. This was in an attempt to locate Brianna. Rodriguez called back an hour later at 2 p.m. stating the location of her daughter's missing phone. The phone was located by Austin police officers in a wooded area by 3:30 p.m. that afternoon near Walnut Creek in a field by the Austin Rugby Club. Through this investigation, it was found that Brianna had attended the tailgate on Friday, November 28th at the Austin Rugby Club, arriving between 4 and 5 p.m. and then leaving at approximately 10 p.m. Witnesses stated that after Brianna was asked to leave the tailgate, she had repeatedly dropped her phone and staggered into a nearby wooded area where her phone and other items were later located by Austin police. Just after 4 p.m. on Saturday, November 29th, officers from the scene paged homicide to inform them that they had located the property belonging to Brianna and determined that there was also a separate deceased person call with the same name. Rodriguez was notified of Brianna's death just before 5 p.m. Brianna's phone was placed with the rest of her property still on the 17th floor of the apartment for her family to later receive. On Monday, December 1st, the mother and father of Brianna met with victim services and those of us in the homicide office at police headquarters. There, Rodriguez turned over Brianna's phone and gave it back to us. A further review of Brianna's phone shows a deleted digital suicide note dated Tuesday, November 25th of this year, which was written to specific people in her life. From the moment this call originated up until now, between all of the witness statements, all of the video evidence, and all of the digital evidence collected, at no time did any evidence point to this being anything of a criminal nature. Rather, our investigation has revealed that unfortunately Brianna had made suicidal comments previously to friends back in October of this year. This continued through the evening of her death with some self-harming actions earlier in the evening and a text message to another friend indicating the thought of suicide. We recognize that hearing news like this can be difficult and may affect members of the community in very personal ways. If you or someone you know is experiencing emotional distress or mental health struggles, support is available. You can call or text 988 to reach the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, or contact Integral Care's 24-hour helpline at 512-472-HELP. That's 512-472-4357 to be connected with local crisis services, including mobile response teams. No one should have to navigate these kind of crises alone. Any questions?
Now open it up for questions.
Oh, you're not stopping?
Go ahead, Brianna.
Couple things. Was the mom made aware of these previous suicidal comments when you guys figured that out during the investigation? And I know a big part of this is trying to address some online speculation, so just wanted to bring up something that people have brought up about concerns about fights that Brianna may have gotten in with other people in that apartment. Can you address those two?
Sure.
things?
The first part first. I was in contact with Brianna's mother beginning Saturday afternoon. We spoke through Sunday and Monday through the meeting here. Since then, I've attempted 4 times to contact her. I wanted to share this information privately. She did not reply to any of my attempts to talk to her until yesterday afternoon, where she asked me to talk to her lawyer. So I have not been in contact with her mother. However, her father I have been in contact with. He knows all of this information as of yesterday. And then secondly, the fight.
Yeah.
There have been online reports of a fight. The only evidence that we have of any kind of physical altercation was Brianna punching one of her friends as they tried to help her out of the party. We have no evidence of any other altercation.
Go ahead, Meredith.
Did the witnesses that y'all talked to give any reason why they didn't call 911 earlier that night?
So most of those witnesses, between the time of night that it was, they slept for some periods of time. They do have some text messages. They were worried. They assumed, because so many friends from their hometown were here in Austin staying at different locations, they had assumed she probably just went back out with another friend group that was in the immediate area, and nobody had any idea.
Did anyone watch her go over the balcony?
No, ma'am. No, we have no evidence to suggest that.
Go ahead.
Can you share more about that deleted note that you mentioned? When was that deleted, and do you have information about how that was deleted?
So that phone is currently with our digital forensics units to be processed. It is being processed as of last night. I just know the date of it. I don't know exactly when it was typed, but I found it in the deleted items folder, and that's about all I can say at this point.
The date from the deleted item was from November the 25th, so it appears that's when it was written.
Brianna.
In the absence of the chatter that happened online about this, how would you have handled this investigation?
I hated the chatter probably as much as her family and everybody, and the living witnesses hate it. The problem is I can't make a public statement until I interview everyone, and several of these people we had interviewed 2 times. Video takes hours and hours not only to get, but then to go through and process and look at. Her phone takes hours to go through. I've never been a part of an investigation that's happened as fast as I want it to. We've always wanted to go faster, but in this case, so many people knew her, so many people wanted to help us. Just to dig through all that information, unfortunately, it has taken 3 or 4 days.
How certain would you say y'all are, sorry, I raised my hand, certain y'all are in this determination?
Just every investigation, we have to rely on the evidence, and all evidence in this case is indicative of suicide.
You then.
Can you share a little bit more about who was inside the apartment at the time that she fell, and were you able to speak with all of those people?
I won't share their names, obviously. Yes, I've been able to speak with every single person in there, all of them multiple times, actually, throughout this. They were just all friends. Again, this is all a large friend group from Laredo.
Is there anything that you can share about what she was last seen wearing? I've heard from a couple of people that they were questioning some of the wardrobe that was seen after the fact.
I'll speak to that. She was found wearing the same stuff she was wearing at the tailgate. Part of the reason it took 4 hours for the video surveillance, she was wearing something slightly different when she arrived back at the apartment. So that kind of threw things off to actually locate her. But she was wearing the exact same stuff from early in the evening.
It took a bit, I would say, to notify the mom. Was that because y'all had to go through me and do the identification, or what kind of was that?
Sure. Yeah, it took a while to positively identify her, but on top of that, as Detective Marshall had mentioned, about around 2 p.m. on that Saturday is when they'd actually set the gears in motion to try to notify her. So she had called about 12:50, and she was notified that same afternoon.
And take 2 more questions.
You mentioned an argument with her boyfriend before her death. How soon did that happen before her death, and were you able to make contact with him as well?
So I have spoken with him multiple times. That phone call happened approximately 2 minutes before the 911 call of her reporting her on the sidewalk.
Part of her mom's questioning is that you talked to friends or people that were in the apartment till Sunday. Can you, maybe you said it in the timeline, can you tell us again when you started talking to people?
We first identified the apartment very late morning, early afternoon on Saturday. We talked to them immediately that very same time. And like I said, since then we've spoken multiple times to everyone that was in the apartment.
A little bit different of a question, but she is 19 and underage. Are any people, just gotta ask, any people being investigated for supplying the alcohol to her?
That would be a better question for Texas Alcohol Beverage Commission, TABC. I've been in very brief contact with them, but I don't know the status of anything that they're doing.
Thank y'all.
All right, we just heard from lead detective Robert Marshall, who shared a few of the notes from the timeline from the incident that occurred on Saturday. I'm going to share a few of those notes with you all here as well. APD officers responded to a call about a deceased person on Saturday, November 29th at 12:46 p.m. The woman was found with injuries consistent with a fall from a higher floor and was pronounced dead at the scene. Witnesses reported hearing a loud thud before seeing her on the ground. The Travis County medical examiner later identified her as Brianna Aguilera. According to investigators, Brianna arrived at the apartment building around 11 p.m. on Friday, November 28th, and went to a unit on the 17th floor. Surveillance video showed that a large group of friends were leaving that apartment at 12:39 a.m., leaving Brianna and 3 other women inside of the apartment complex. Police say Brianna attended a tailgate earlier that day where friends reported she became highly intoxicated and was asked to leave. She later told her friends she had lost her phone and borrowed another phone to call her out-of-town boyfriend. Her mother contacted Austin police at 12:50 a.m. Saturday, then called again around 2 a.m. after locating Brianna's missing phone. And by 4 p.m., Brianna's mother was notified of her daughter's death. Investigators discovered a deleted note on Brianna's phone written on Tuesday, November 25th, and the note was a suicide note written by Brianna for a few of her family members. APD also said that through interviews with Brianna's friends, those friends also mentioned that to police that Brianna had previously discussed suicide or mentioned suicide in conversation. I'm going to repeat this information in Spanish for our Spanish speakers, and then we will wrap this stream up. El detective principal Robert Marshall compartió una cronología de los acontecimientos de esta investigación y ahora voy a compartir algunos de esos detalles con ustedes. Los agentes de la policía de Austin respondieron a una llamada sobre una persona fallecida el sábado 29 de noviembre a las 12:46 de la noche. La mujer fue encontrada con lesiones compatibles con una caída desde un piso alto y fue declarada muerta en el lugar. Los testigos informaron haber oído un fuerte golpe antes de verla en el suelo. El médico forense del condado de Travis la identificó más tarde como Brianna Aguilera. Según los investigadores, Brianna llegó al edificio del apartamento alrededor de las 11 de la noche del viernes 28 de noviembre y se dirigió a un apartamento en el piso 17. Las cámaras de vigilancia muestran a un grupo numeroso saliendo de ese apartamento a las 12:39 de la mañana, dejando a Brianna y a otras 3 mujeres adentro, y la policía afirma que Brianna asistió a una fiesta antes ese mismo día donde, según sus amigos, se emborrachó mucho y le pidieron que se fuera del lugar. Más tarde ella les dijo que sus amigos que había perdido su teléfono y que había perdido prestado otro teléfono para llamar a su novio que estaba fuera de la ciudad y su madre se puso en contacto con la policía de Austin a las 12:50 de la mañana del sábado y volvió a llamar alrededor de las 2 de la mañana y después localizó su teléfono de Brianna y le informó a la policía. La madre de Brianna fue informada de la muerte de su hija más tarde. Los investigadores descubrieron una nota borrada en el teléfono de Brianna escrita el martes 25 de noviembre y la nota era una nota de suicidio escrita por Brianna para algunos miembros de su familia. La policía de Austin también dijo que a través de entrevistas con los amigos de Brianna, esos amigos también dijeron a la policía que Brianna había hablado anteriormente sobre el suicidio o había mencionado en alguna conversación. Gracias por acompañarnos. Eso es todo lo que les tenemos para esta mañana. Again, thank you so much for joining us. We will have all of the updated information on our website, kxan.com.